Hey everyone, just give me a minute to set up. Okay, how's okay, how's Okay, can you hear me now? Is this okay? Something weird happened just then. Okay, can you hear me now? Is this okay? Something weird happened just then. Okay, can you hear me now? Is this okay? Something weird happened just then. Something strange is going on here. My control, like the controls are working. Something strange is going on here. So the controls are working, but my controller's advanced options aren't. Okay, that's strange. Okay, basically, well, I had a little bit of a stream failure. For some reason, I got kicked out of the stream, my own stream, prematurely. I had to restart the system. That fixed it, but then I just had this thing where the controller's advanced option, like the PS5 UI, utility UI options, weren't working, and I couldn't turn off the mic, which is why you had so much echo. It was just impossible to turn off. I had to manually turn off the mic itself because the mute on the controller wasn't working. But everything seems to be working now. Okay, hopefully this won't be a problem. Also, I'm going to be speaking low, if ever, probably not speaking much at all tonight because I have a guest over in the other room, but I also need to make up for lost time on this, so I'm going to play through this anyway. Try and speak in a lower voice, a little left often, higher gain on the mic. So if anything sounds a little funny, that's why, because I'm trying to talk lower while still being heard clearly. So anyway, let me get this out of the way quickly. Hey YouTube, it's Dave. Welcome back to the Final Fantasy Tactics Agrias run. This is part 2 of the series. The goal today is to take care of the rest of the bosses of the main game, but since I'm making up for some lost time, I'm not going to go back and do any bosses from the early game, so this is it. It's just from here on out is what I'm going to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you do. So anyway, let's get to it. Well, in this case, in progress. Now, as I said, I got company over. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going to take care of Ricard first. I got to talk lower because I have company over, and my guest room is literally shares the same wall as my room, and it's like the wall's pretty much just paper thin. You can hear everything, so I hope you can hear me okay. I'm speaking in a low voice. It sounds okay from the stream. Yeah, I'm not gonna fight this argument. You're just too uninteresting. So I've made some adjustments to Agrias. I worked on her face a little. Honestly, it's not that much different in the end. She just has her actual face from the game. Well, in the game it's more long, but in the art for this thumbnail, she just kind of has a boxy face. She just has a very wide square face. So that's just the way it looks. She has small lips, square face, wide eyes. That's just how she looks. So at least in that art, and in FFT itself, it's more ovally, like a very oval-shaped face. I also changed her greaves to match much more closely to the one she actually wears. Sticking with her armor for now because I just think this looks better than the falling out of the sky dead people. I just think it looks better than the other armor, even though I think it looks closer to her actual armor from FFT, but maybe big chunky armor in FFT looks good, but here it just looks kind of funky. Because they do have funny, chunky bodies and, you know, big arms, big legs, and big heads in the original FFT with weirdly tiny waists. So that may work in FFT, but here the graphics lean more towards realistic. So I decided I had to go with something that works more for this game. I have also I found some more weapons that work for her. I only had a couple before, so I don't need that here now. I have all these weapons are all leveled up and ready to go. A couple pieces of shields will kind of work for her. I even picked a couple ashes to stand in for Lavian and whatever the other girl's name is. I can't remember her because she had 2 knights serving her in FFT, right? That you could recruit in your party. Now, honestly, I never recruited them because even though they were actually technically better than standard knights, generic knights, I just would always have my characters much better optimized and grown by that point in the game. So recruiting them, I mean, you could totally recruit them. The roster size in FFT was pretty damn big, so you could totally just recruit them and have around. But I mean, just never. Sorry, Magma, I already beat one of you already, so this is entirely unnecessary fight. So those two, there's just no point having them around. All they do is fill up space on your roster. They didn't do anything. I do hear, though, in later the versions of the game, they would actually take part in certain conversations if they were in your party at the time. So now these Ashes of War that I picked from the Night Maiden Swordstress puppets, I mean, they're really not appropriate for who they are. I mean, I just picked them because they're two girls, right? And because Lavian and the other one were also both girls. So the fact is, there are actually a couple other options that are actually just two knights, because that's what they are. They're two knights. They would actually work better because those are two knights, but they were female knights, and I'm guessing I'm just being kind of a stickler for the details here. So frankly, it'd make more sense to have the two knights, even if they're guys, than to have the two sword puppets, because they're absolutely not knights at all. They're puppets and they fight weird, but I don't intend to really use them anyway, so there's really no point getting to it. I'm probably not going to come close to needing them for a very long time, so I'm not going to get caught up in trying to decide which Ash of War is best or not. I'm probably going to end up leveling up some of the male knights just because they are still two knights, and honestly, female, male, and FFT, they still fight the same anyway. And I just realized I forgot to grab a magical a catalyst for casting spells, because Agrias could cast spells. Well, I mean, she did have, I think White Mage Healing Magic was her secondary. Although most people would usually just use items in FFT. I don't know why. I don't know why people seem to like chemistry over white magic more, because white magic was more powerful. But for the most part, when you were playing Agrias, you didn't want to. You would never want her casting spells anyway. You'd always use her sword magic. But still, I should grab a catalyst of some sort and have it on hand. Honestly, I've never used any kind of divine magic. So I'm not even sure how it works.
Welcome.
Where's that stupid site of grace?
Yes, right this way. Right this way.
Maybe it's up here. No point looking up the skirt, guys. It's she's wearing some pretty good pants. So don't ask. I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? Ah, there we go. One sec, guys. My door is open. Okay, let's get back to it. I hope no one was expecting me to fight this guy, because I am not going to. Whoops. There's a better version of him in the DLC, so if you want to see me fight a version of the Falling Star Beast, it's better to fight the one that will actually pose more of a challenge than this one. There will be plenty of bosses or stronger versions of a lot of these regular bosses in the DLC, so you'll see it then. I'll just take the basic one. It's not meant to be a... this one seems most... Wait. Ew. I was going to say this one's the most churchy one, since she's a member of the church, but I don't have the faith for it. Whatever, this is not an important part of her kit anyway. I'll have to deal with the spell stuff later. It'll be a long time before the game's actually challenging enough for me to actually need them.
We rarely fascinate so about the book. If you have, rise with us. Your decision now. You believe the drawing. I am 10.
Let's go get Rickard. I'm glad this dungeon's pretty straightforward because I have not come here, haven't done this place very often. Just a reminder, I have a guest staying over in the room sharing the same wall as mine, so I'm not going to be talking as much this run. And I'm going to be talking more in a low voice, even though the volume of my mic is way up. to compensate, but I'm going to try and be talking low and less often tonight. But you're here to watch the play rather than hear me talk anyway, so shouldn't make a big difference. Poop. I forgot. All the way back here? God damn it. Just gonna say, I think it's pretty unlikely I'm gonna do all the remaining bosses of all the remaining interesting bosses of the main game tonight, but I'm certainly gonna try. Like, there's a lot of stuff I am skipping here. I know I'm making a lot of concessions there for this run, even though I was looking forward to this run way more than the ninja build. Okay, what did I do wrong here? No, I just fell short. Now this room I'm very familiar with for farming those bags. That item that's just like a bag on your head. So yeah, it's a little unfair that Agrias, a build I've been really wanting to do, is being forced into all these concessions because of all these issues, but the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But hey, let me know if you want to see more Agrias in the future in some other shape or form. Or even just FFT. Seems a little spammy. Well, what can I say? That's how she was using FFT. You spammed those Holy Knight abilities like crazy, man. Like, why would you ever use your melee attacks? They were so strong. I don't think they could miss. Where's that elevator? I think it's here somewhere. Love that effect. I'm just watching it. One day I gotta find a way to use that. Okay, time for some crazy holy spear action, which is within Agrias' purview, so no problem. Uh-oh, I don't have it. Ooh, I don't have it. Shit. So it must be in my chest. Where's that stupid thing? I forget what kind of weapon it is. Okay, what is serpent? Okay, yeah, that's what it was. I thought it was something serpenty. Serpent something or another. Should be still effective even though I'm not leveled. No problem. I wonder if I should be using any of these great runes. I mean, there's really no rule against it for Agrias. Hmm. I'll think about it if I start struggling for some reason. Okay, now to Lendl, which could be a problem with all these holy weapons. Yeah, she is a holy knight, so a lot of what she does is holy. It's just a shame we don't have any one good frost ability. Or at least there are no frost abilities that meet the criteria for her, as in, like, you know, ability that shoots from the ground up or from the sky and drops down. I mean, there's plenty of frost abilities, but they have to function exactly how they did in FFT, or else I can't use them. Like, actually, there was one spell I decided not to use, even though it met the criteria. Even though, was it the Death Ritual Spear has an ability that casts spells like spears from the sky, but I mean, I'm loosening up on the rules for different weapons I can use, even though she only uses swords. Mainly because if I only restricted myself to just Ashes of War that follow that rule, and use swords, I'd have like 2 options, and that's it. So, and by expanding it to use other weapons, the options only increase to like 4. So, but the this one option I was talking about, the Death Ritual Spear, I decided the magic was just not her. It was like death magic, something, or something to do with death and undead and necromancy and all this stuff. And I figured, nah, I can't have Agrias use that spell. Gafgarian can use it. I actually found an ability that's a lot like Gafgarian's signature ability. There is one like it in Elden Ring. Now, I don't have any plans to play a Gafgarian, but hey, let me know if you want to see me do it. You know, I gotta get one of those eventually. Oh, the double gargoyles is a boss I'm missing for all this stuff. No, sorry, that's too far out of the way, and I have to make up too much lost time. So sorry. And honestly, the last time I fought them with the ninja, it was really.
Thanks for bringing me to the base.
What are you doing here, Melina?
Tree.
I didn't ask for you.
I can govern my own movement, and thus I shall farewell. I shall leave. I wish you luck. I have no doubt you will become.
Anyway, the last time I fought the gargoyles with a much weaker build, they weren't hard at all. So, I mean, technically, you could theoretically should be harder with Agrias because I don't have help, or at least I haven't come up with anything that would work for her. Well, I mean, I do, but I'm trying to avoid using it since it's not a perfect solution. Even though the 2 Lendl Knight Ashes are actually perfectly within reason for her. Because 2 Lendl Knights, like her, because, I mean, technically she was like a church knight. So they would be sort of like a church knight, so that would work. But they're not girls, so... Again, for anyone wondering, I have a guest staying over in my guest room tonight, and the walls are paper thin, so I need to keep it down tonight. So I'm talking in a low voice, and not very often. But don't worry, I'm sure by next week, by the time next week rolls around, that won't have to worry about that. That's how Agrias fights. What can I say? Spams her Holy Knight abilities more than anything else. Sure, it's nice to be using a character for a change that's... Well, okay, she is still a little restricted in many ways, but I'm still being allowed to operate more freely. Like, I can use these buffs and things. It just can't be anything, it just can't be any spell that she can't use that she didn't know or was outside the scope of FFT. But I can use consumable items. I mean, there's a whole chemist class. Maybe I should think of her that way, as like a chemist, and then I can use whatever I want. Like I'm trading out my white mage skills for use item. That works. It's cheap, but it works. I should really put points in Int and Faith. I mean, Int and Faith is a big part of her kit too. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look up the details of her some of those spells, because a lot of them depend, some of them more on Faith, some on Int, some of them on Dex, believe it or not. So, but I'm not going to get too much into it until I'm actually, you know, in need of the help. But right now, I'm doing just fine. I have to kill. So yeah, that's Agrias' code. So to try and make it so I discourage myself from skipping too many fights in these runs, I created a code system. So for the ninja, there's going to be like any knight or noble character. For the pirate, it's going to be like anything that guards treasure or loot. Well, specifically, not generally. And for Agrias, it's anything evil or unjust. So if I see a character that or hero that or monster that I know for sure is unjust or evil, she has to slay it. That's why I did Rickard. Normally I wouldn't do Rickard because he's just so out of the way and not necessary and not really Not really against the completely against the scope of many builds because you got to use a stupid serpent hunter. But for her, it counts because she is a slayer of unjust creatures. She slays evil. Well, and enemies of the church, technically. Actually, when you think of it that way, it doesn't really change that much. I should look at more abilities that increase her. I should look up what works with all these builds. Yeah, I should look up more things that increase the power of her, of these Ashes of War more than anything, because that's my main thing, less than the melee stuff. Crap. Been a while since I've fought him straight up, and well, okay, I know that ability doesn't actually do holy damage, but I think the sword itself does holy damage. Okay, I kind of got lucky there. He just stood there taking it. There are a few occasions when he would just stand there and let me whack him like that, so yay, but moving on.
The Agrias. The
Hello again. Allow me, you are unable prevented the thorn, a husk, the only way and become my purpose. So I'd like to the flame then and guide you.
Okay, now to head to the mountaintops. I mean, it was right there. You know, I'm gonna give this a shot. With my friends. I mean, I don't need this, but just for fun. Where did my friends go? Well, that wasn't fun. Instead of having friends, they just disappeared. You know, when I got all those other skills, I was operating under the impression that the Needle Piercer skill was actually a holy spell. But it's not. Apparently it's mostly physical. Talk about a parting shot. Alright, this should make it a lot easier to deal with annoying cavalry guys. Okay, this guy's taking like no damage for some reason. That was weird. I am not gonna fight this gargoyle because I kind of already got a gargoyle, so I got nothing to prove here. They're not really much of a challenge anyway. Maybe if there was one in the DLC. Actually, well, no, you know what? I already got a gargoyle. Had to reset my recorder because I was at my limit. But onwards and upwards. Did I ever mention how much I like this bridge? Like just the way they did it. The monolithic style of the blocks. Well, okay, maybe they're not blocks. They're just... Maybe they're more just carved into this ridge. But still. Kind of has almost like teeth-like look. I just realized, because I was thinking, oh, that's Archer on the bridge. Kind of makes me think of the, you know, the archers from Dark Souls, right? Or the Shrine of Mana mages, but then I realized, you know what? Is there really a point like that in Elden Ring? I don't think there really is anything like the archers or the Shrine of Mana mages in Elden Ring. Which I guess is a good thing. Oh, you know what? I should really kill Alexander for the second shard. Where is he at this point of the game, anyway? If you don't deal with him back at Radon. Well, I guess I can always check at Radon, because otherwise he should be up in Mount Gelmir, and he stays there until you burn the tree. No, sorry, Bird. I'm gonna get the one in the DLC. That's a better test of the skills. And I don't need you walking island thingy. for another quick dungeon run. Get out of my way, kitty. Finally, you little buggers. Okay, now what am I going to do here? Neil's always been a pain. Now, I'm not necessarily required to fight him a specific way. Why do I have this? I'm not going to use this. Alright, let's have this on hand. I should take note of other abilities I have. Hey, I was busy. I was looking at stuff. How rude, huh? Oh well, just have to see how it goes. was my fault. I should have focused on dodging instead of using a heal right there, but that went a heck of a lot better than this ninja did. Than the ninja build did. However, I really don't have time to get stuck on Neil tonight. I have to try and finish the whole game, so... or the whole base game tonight, so I'm gonna summon help next time. But since it went so well, I'm gonna consider that. And that I only lost because I definitely made a bad decision there. I'm gonna say, I could do it pretty much. But I don't want to risk spending too much time on him, so... yeah, call that cope if you want, I don't care. Good. Good. Didn't want to get caught up on him for too long, but it sure feels nice using a... it's been a long time since I fought him with an actual, you know, hard-hitting character. And honestly, this is the first time I've actually played... my first time in Elden Ring playing a character that actually uses the Ashes of War. All I've done so far, and all this time I've owned Elden Ring, is do challenge builds. Or challenge-like builds, so... yay. Now to get the rest of the medallion. Alright, let me check on Alexander, see if he's still there first, so I can get his shard. Yes, he's here. Sorry, Alex. We all love you, but I need that shard. Apparently it stacks with the other one. Now for the medallion itself. Again, just to clarify for any new people, I'm talking low tonight because I have a guest over. And the walls between our rooms are quite thin, so... I mean, I got the mic volume up, but I'm trying to keep it down. And I won't be talking as much. But you're not really in it for my talking, are you? Don't worry, this is not a common thing. This isn't sort of thing doesn't happen often. And by next week, the next time I stream, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Please, no. Dear me. I haven't a clue. No secrets lie with me, not a one. Oh, please leave me be.
Feels good to hit people from range again. Been a long time since I've managed to hit anyone from range and actually deal damage.
Curse, monk, I beg you. You must keep it out. And if you should need, then please.
Nope, I will not be giving it to her. Because I already did in my last playthrough. Alright, let's get this Grace taken care of. But I consider all the bosses in this area to actually be harder than anything in Fair Missoula and that section of bosses. So I'm going to do all that first. I just realized I didn't fight Radagon in the Ninja Run, did I? Well, it doesn't matter because the game, well, if you saw that stream, the game crashed or the system crashed and I had no internet, I had no way to finish the stream, and now that file's gone, so we'll never know. Because the only way I could do Agrias is to copy that profile with that save over for this character. And Elden Ring doesn't let you move individual save files. You have to move the entire profile with all the saves on it at once, which is really stupid, but you know, that's the way it's always been with Dark Souls, and I don't know, and all of Miyazaki's grace and wisdom, and apparently we don't want to move our individual save files. No, we have to move the entire profile, thus saving over any of the other games, or else. Whatever. This stupid... Oh, crap. You know what? This dragon would be the kind of enemy she would fight. Crap, I gotta fight it, don't I? Because it's attacking people who are just trying to pass through, so that's an injustice. So, crap, I'm gonna have to fight him. I hate this guy, he's such a pain. Let's go with lightning for this guy. flying around so much this time. Yeah, this guy's annoying. More annoying than pretty much any of the other bosses. Probably only Bale's more annoying. This is not working. Phew! I was getting worried there. He can be a real tricky little bugger. And boy, he was resisting. I mean, I always knew he could resist quite a bit of damage, but well, he's just a pain in the butt, that guy. All those frost abilities, and usually I have trouble keeping track of his frost breath, or not the frost breath, but the one where he roars and then it suddenly fills the area with frost. But I guess it's because I wasn't just standing under his feet whacking away like I usually do. This time I was able to just sort of stand at a distance and, you know, spam lightning. Does Agrias actually have a lightning spell? I actually looked up her abilities today, just to give a little... This guy's in jail already, so I don't need to go in there and kill him. He's already been served his justice. So, I think... It's been a long time since I played FFT, but yeah, she does have a lightning elemental ability. I don't remember using it much, though. I mostly just used the stasis one, the ice one, and then she had one like a crush spike. That was it mostly that I remember using a lot of. But I remember there was one with like a sword that would rise out of the ground. And then there was another one that was lightning based apparently. Fun fact, if you two-hand a sword when you ride Torrent, you actually do two-hand damage when you swing your sword, even though she's not actually two-handing it. I mean, unless they changed that, but last I heard, that's how it worked. I've just realized I haven't actually done much in the way of PvP with her so far. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that. This is an area you don't want to get caught just fighting in or standing around in, so I am getting the heck out of here. Oh good, I didn't trigger the PvP invasion. Well, not PvP, but you know what I mean, NPC invasion. Which is fine, because I don't really like doing them anyway. I mean, there's a whole bunch of NPCs to fight in the DLC anyway. I'm actually going to have to do the whole questing thing with her because she would invite, work with allies to get their help. So, actually, she would side with Lita. Because remember in FF, well, even if, okay, maybe you haven't played it, but she actually tries to work against the church before the church turns on her, but until that point, she doesn't realize the church has turned on her. So, as far as she's concerned, as far as she would be willing to do it, she would side with whoever she thinks is the holy knight present before anyone else. So, she would actually side with Lita. Now let me think if there's anything I'm missing here that I'll miss out on. I mean, I don't need to do Moog because we're going to have the big boy Moog. So we don't need to worry about the little boy Moog. Mostly just stuff in Lendl, and I'm skipping most of Lendl. I mostly skipped a lot of stuff in this area because of the late start time of the last stream, but really all the fun stuff is at the end game anyway and in the DLC. And I did Rickard, which I don't normally do, so... oh well. This will be interesting because her abilities are ranged, but this is all about focusing on weak points. Oh right, but she also has an included melee attack. Let's see what I can do here to help improve all this. Fire could be... well, okay, let's just see how it goes as is. Then we'll get fancy with the builds and stuff. Phew, that got a little dicey. But I was hoping that the way the eyeball is positioned, and that the way this ability works, I was really hoping that when I got right under his eye, that they would perfectly converge on the eye while standing under it, and that's exactly what happened. So that worked out nicely. I mean, I didn't have many opportunities to use it, but I got more opportunities to do that than I usually do to attack his other hand there, because whether you get the chance to attack that other hand is kind of depending on luck. Like, he'll often just keep rolling, like whenever I do it, when you start attacking the hand, he immediately rolls away, and he will often spam that roll, and it just, I find it more reliable to attack his legs than to attack the hand, even though it does way less damage. But and the other streamers, the giant always seems to just stand there with his hands down and letting them attack it. I'm like, well, that's not what happens for me. He just rolls away most of the time. So anyway, let's burn the world, shall we?
This world and death are you to commit? Very let my...
Of course, in typical Souls fashion, she doesn't tell you exactly what the cardinal sin is. We just agree or not agree to it. I mean, are we supposed to have an inkling that's what she was about to do? I'm sure there'll be some lore nerd somewhere who say, yeah, we totally knew that if you were paying attention or something like this, but I don't remember any mention of her saying, yeah, I'm going to go burn the tree and burn the world and bring it all down. Yep, that's totally what I'm up to. No, I'm pretty sure she never says anything like that in any capacity, whether it be subtle or implied or, anything. First shot at stealth with Egg. Went exactly how I expected it would. And that went how I expected it would. But who cares? I just want the grace. But you know what? I think I need to start having a more area-centric, whatever. I mean, all those spells have a sort of area quality to them, but one is more appropriate for close-range encounters. Let's have the Clean Rot Spear handy. I can actually equip a bunch of these without worrying about weight. Let's spend these runes, shall we? Rather than letting them rot a hole in my pocket. I will not be fighting this dragon. There are other dragons like it in the game that will be a better fight. Like the one in just outside Bale, the Bale fight in the DLC, and it'll be a much better fight anyway. When possible, I always try to lean towards versions of bosses that are at their peak. Like, for example, Estelle. I mean, that's quite a long run around to get to him, but there's another version of him in the snowfields. Right? So, I can just fight that one. And he'll be more of a challenge anyway, so. I mean, I think he will be anyway. I mean, it's certainly a higher area scaling, so he should be harder. So why go through that trouble when he's going to be right there in my path? I pulled out the spear because it has some holy qualities to it, but then I just remembered, oh wait, Lita's sword is a holy sword that does holy damage. Oops. But her special ability actually doesn't. It's actually almost entirely physical damage. It has a fun little side effect where it actually removes buffs. I had no idea it removes buffs, but then again, how could I know? It's not like any enemy, regular enemy, is going to be using buffs. There's just a few of them. Is this worth the £1? Eh, we'll just have it handy. Now, I should be using more shields that have special effects, but the shields cover her hair, and that bugs me when I can't see her hair. I mean, part of the fun about her is her hair. And then if I can't see the hair, then what's the point? I know, silly, but that's how I feel. But it'll change real fast when I start having real problems. Like the harder bosses, I'm probably going to need every little benefit or... gotta be careful here, gotta be careful here. Be very, very careful. So yeah, take advantage of every little thing I can get. Now will I use help here? I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes straight up. These guys have a chance of logging out. Yes, I know I can use like sleep pots, but I'm going to try to avoid that sort of thing here. And honestly, it went pretty fast with in the ninja run. But I do reserve the right to call for help, because I have a little policy. If the boss gets to summon help, I get to summon help. But for now, let's see how it goes, because unlike other characters I usually do with her, I have some good... I actually have a good setup, or at least I think it's a good setup. Okay, whatever the hell that was. I know that cheap move. Well, I mean, I know what the move is, but I've never seen it like track me perfectly like that before. Usually you just dodge it and he goes by, that's it. But this like literally tracked me, so that every move I made, I was just stuck in it. So I have never seen that before, so I don't know what all that was about. But otherwise, it was going just fine before that cheapness took place. You know, that little ball they have looks a lot like the Shadow Ball that the World of Warcraft Death Knight would use. I wonder if I can use that. Ugh, I was playing with the fire there. Shadow fire. Wow, see? That went really darn well. Despite, so if it weren't for whatever that cheap thing that happened in that first fight was, wouldn't have been a problem. Hey. I really should get intelligence and faith up. I mean, a lot of these skills surprisingly scale with dex and strength more than anything else, but some of them do benefit from intelligence and faith. I'll just keep going until I know for sure it's not working. You know, one of these guys probably wouldn't be that hard to fight with Agrias the way she's designed, but, well, she doesn't kill other knights, he isn't necessarily doing anything wrong, and frankly, I just don't like fighting them. I am just going to open a window. It's getting kind of warm in here. He's in the way, yes, but actually, no, what? Nah, forget it. I mean, I know technically he's kind of breaking the code by being a big meanie and being a pest, but he's not technically a boss, and really, there'll be plenty more chances to fight others like him. Well, I mean, we got to keep in mind here that it's already almost 2, and I still have a lot more bosses left to go. I mean, I still have to do... I gotta get to Moog, I gotta get to Millennia. The final bosses of the regular game. And we have no idea how troublesome any of these guys will be, so... We're gonna start out, though, with whatever Sax... I can't remember the names of all these Sax dragons. There's so many different Saxes. But I have a feeling that the Clean Rot Spear is gonna... I mean, I know... Well, first of all, he's probably the one dragon lightning is not the best idea for, right? But he has such a big body, and this spell has such a wide area. Maybe the extra area will allow it to do much bigger damage. Alright, now let's make some adjustments because he can be a bit of a pain. Regular attacks or... You know, regular attacks are probably going to ultimately be more useful than the regular holy attacks. Let's just see how it goes as is. Then we can start talking about defenses. Wow, he just scorched his nuts. That's gotta suck. Casting between your legs like that. Breathing between your legs. Not going well. What? What hit me? Oh, come on. Are you seriously went down to some toe? This little toe hits me? Okay, well, definitely, I normally do this with some lightning defense, so that was definitely what was needed there. And honestly, I think focusing on attack, on using those weapon arts over and over again was probably not the best call. I don't think the spear was making all that big a difference, really. Aw, oh, you're kidding me. Stupid little annoying bastard. Always at least one of those every run. Always one. Just some stupid death that had nothing to do with anything. Just some annoying little bugger just like hee hee, and that's it. Even the big streamers, something like that always happens every single time. honestly, with big bosses like that, it's better to just keep hitting them than bother going for the weak point. You little bastard, why are you moving around so much? Normally you don't. And he's scoring hits he normally doesn't. Okay, what the hell's going on here? Okay. This is getting irritating. He's really not that hard, so what the hell's going on here? He spends so much time flying around, I can't do anything when he's doing that. And of course he keeps scoring hits that normally don't land on me. Okay, ideas. In terms of melee damage, this sword's not bad. None of my other options, though, are Pierce. Oh, no, I guess, no, I think that's Pierce. Well, I actually have a chance to look, don't I? No, it says Pierce. But it's mostly holy damage, holy Do I just not need to use holy damage? I don't remember. Definitely don't use bolt and not fire. So maybe strike. I do have a strike weapon. Alright, I don't think I need to get really creative until this becomes a real problem for now. I think it just boils down to trying to use more of my consumables more than anything. Great, now for all the cheap stuff. Whew, yay, finally. Basically, saving more of the consumables for the second half of the fight made it... Actually, you know what? I won't really give it to the consumables. I think it was more just not using the Holy Blade's skills, or as I'm calling them, the Holy Blade skills, but just regular melee attacks, keep up the DPS rather than going crazy with the skills. I mean, I'm sure they would have been fine if I had them all perfectly optimized yet, but I'm still not sure exactly what the best optimization is for them yet, and I haven't really had any incentive to really bother with it yet. I mean, sure, that took a few attempts, but I mean, a few attempts is not a big deal. So, not yet. I was just taking a look at some other options because I'm always using Lita's sword. I mean, I just really like these, the light great sword move set, but I really should try using some other stuff. Not for him. I'm just going to use whatever until he's dead. Of course, there goes all my healing items. Let's give it a shot anyway.
Thou who approachest destined death, I will not have it stolen.
Well, okay, not so great. This is going to be a very short-lived fight, but okay. So, basically what I said, short-lived. But this sword is probably the only thing fast enough to really deal with him out of everything I have. I mean, he's going to be very bouncy, so I might not get too many chances to use abilities. Or maybe I should look at ones that execute fast. Yeah, that's not very fast. What about this? Okay, no, I know that one's not fast. I got a lot of extra stuff here that I don't need now. None of them are very fast. I still have the lightning thing equipped. Let's get rid of that. Okay, that went poorly. I haven't had a chance to hit him yet. I think I'm gonna have to try something less holy-ish. Okay, not for the clergyman. This is fine for them, for him, but God damn it, I didn't have my potions equipped. Okay, this might become a problem. I don't have time for problems. And she also suddenly feels really sluggish, but I'm pretty sure I didn't break my load. Or did I? No, that's fine. Well, let's try this sword then. It looks like the holy damage is really not doing me any favors here. That stupid dot. Agrias was kind of built more for standing still and attacking while taking turns than, Oh, I got to see his insides just then. That's cool. No, she's not built for bouncing around and avoiding things. She's, built for... she's built for taking her turns on a grid. Well, I'm sorry to do this, but I just flat out do not have time to waste on one boss tonight. That's just all. Let's do it. I have to move on. Where'd you go? Yeah, well, it was cowardly, but like I said, I had to get moving here. I just could not get stuck on one boss for too long. Although, honestly, actually, you know what? For the first phase, they definitely made a difference. There, I don't know. My dodging his attacks in that first part of the fight, and then getting a bunch of hits off, probably made more of a difference. Well, you know, I shouldn't say that because then he did start focusing on them at one point. I was just chucking lightning at him that whole time, but whatever. It's not like she didn't have allies, you know. I wonder what the pirate would have. Well, actually, no, I know the Death Knight. Actually, what? No, I shouldn't say that. Death Knights had summoned ghouls. Now, should I go for the end or go for Moog? Well, I actually considered all these bosses here, except for the final bosses, to be easier than Moog and all of them. Still, I should probably at least take care of, what's his face, the old guy. Ofnir, I think. This shouldn't be too hard. Well, I mean, it's not hard if you just attack him and don't let him talk, but if he does get a chance to move around, he can become a pest. But I normally don't have good ranged attacks like I do this time.
To stand before the Elden Ring, to become Elden Lord, what a sad state of affairs. Your spirit but alas, none shall take the throne. I guess how help us. Continue to struggle. On to eternity.
Good. I got a little worried there when he got his potion off.
A tarnished cannot become a lord.
But man, the pressure the milady or these light greatswords put on people. I don't know if they're particularly good in PvP, but I don't know, I never PvP because I don't have the online subscription. And even if I did, I still wouldn't play Elden Ring PvP. Because I don't know about everyone else, but whenever I played Elden Ring or Dark Souls, or, well, Dark Souls PvP, all I ever found were cheaters. And I don't mean, like, you know, sore loser cheaters. I mean, like, real cheaters. Like, guys who were, like invincible, or had, like, a million gajillion HP, or something weird like that. Or they just spent the whole game just hiding in places. I mean, like, way more than half I encountered were like that. So it was like, if the vast majority of these guys aren't even, like, just playing, you know, honestly, then what's the point? And now I gotta pay $200 if I want the option to play them online, and no, I'm afraid not. That is not worth that much money. And oh yeah, if I really want to play an online game, the free-to-play ones don't require subscription, so why bother? Okay, let's get some runes. Oh, that was quick. Now, I have a feeling this is going to be a metric pain in the butt without help. Then the I don't know. I mean, I've been using just one of her abilities over and over again so far because it turns out her needle piercer ability is more of a physical ability, but it might help though having all these holy abilities in the second phase though. So much for that. I only have 25 minutes, not because I'm necessarily beholden to some time schedule. It's more that by this point I start to get really, really tired, and then any boss feels impossible. So, I mean, I don't feel so bad right now, but it's getting there. And that's a wrap. You know, I am actually allowed to use a shield here. She does use shields. I think that'll really help for the first part of the fight. Actually, maybe I should try using this again. Honestly, with the low guard boost, probably won't be very helpful, but... Oh, right, this was a real pain with sword and board. Ooh, forgot about that. Right, the guard boost talisman, forgot to equip that if I'm not going to be doing two-hand attacks. But, I mean, I will be doing two-hand attacks for the second part of the fight, but... Actually, you know what, even I won't have a chance to land a lot of attacks here, so... It's probably not really the best idea. No, I'm going to put this here, because I'm not really landing a lot of, getting a chance to land a lot of attacks here. Where's that thing? And honestly, the shield should be leveled up. Yeah, I don't have time to keep wasting on him, so bringing in the cavalry now. Sorry, can't keep doing this all night. So we are going to move back to... No, I'll still use the shield. But I have... I can't... It's not that I have to just do Moog and, Millennia and all them. I have to actually get to them, too. And then God knows how long Millennia is going to take, because she's always difficult with... without really... Actually, Milady actually works pretty well against her, now that I think about it. Actually, just the whole idea of attacking from an area might really make a big difference with her. So much for the help. I should have remembered that, honestly, dodging only really works against him if you're, like, light load anyway. I should have remembered that, because I found him damn near impossible with sword and board. Actually, Millennia was impossible with sword and board. That's an improvement. Oh, come on. There. Not the most honorable win, but eh. Let's not forget, I beat him under way harder circumstances in those challenge runs, so no. I already have my credit on gamer cred on him. So I already beat him in a challenge run. This isn't a challenge run. And that ended up taking a really long time. Okay, now this is going to be tricky because now I'm going up against very holy orientated creatures here. I really got to try using some of these other abilities. Let's see how these go. We'll get back to basics. This is going to be a lot of fun without help. Where's that stupid seal? There it is. Oh, this does holy damage. Ooh, on its attacks. That's not going to work. But the main ability, the Ash of War might. So let's just give it a try. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give these guys a shot, but then I'm going to go back to, because I just remembered, you know what, there's a lot more to getting to Millennia. I have to do the little labyrinth puzzle. I have to run across the area. I'm going to skip Estelle. Like, who cares about Estelle? He's not that exciting. Maybe I'll just save him for like a video or something. But now I'm realizing there's still a whole lot of stuff I gotta run to before having a chance to try Moog and Millennia and all of them, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on him. that's probably it there for that. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend too much time on him. He's they got far more other interesting bosses I gotta deal with first. So yeah, whatever. That's how that went. But as I expected, the well, you know what? Now I'm gonna try this again without a holy based weapon, just because I'm curious. Because I can't make any. I don't have time for the usual. I gotta go for big bonks. You know, you can't even see his hands when he does that. Well, the big bonking stick definitely makes a huge difference here. Actually, it's making such a huge difference, I think I'll try this again, but... Because really, he's the only problem. That's okay, well, the other night when I fought the Elden Beast, he was a frickin' master who constantly predicted every attack with perfect precision, but normally he's very, very easy. So I'll have... Definitely not holy, though. That definitely seems to be making a difference. So I'm gonna want... Actually, you know what? The big bonk stick will work just fine for that. But I need him dead because... I'd rather just move on. No warning on that one. You know, I can't see him from behind that stupid claw. Yeah, I got help. Sue me. Okay, what the fuck was that? Suddenly those arrows can't touch me now, but then suddenly one touches, like, what's it? I'm running to the side of those things, and they're nipping at his heels, and then this time for some reason they hit him in the butt, and then suddenly one arrow hits Torrent in the butt, and he freezes, and then they all hit him, and then like what the hell? Such inconsistent tracking on those things. Anyway, I'm not doing that again. As far as I'm concerned, Radagon is the challenge. The Elden Beast is either just stupid, really stupid, or cheap. So I don't care. I don't consider him a real. I don't know. I don't consider him as part of these runs. I don't like them. I don't care for that fight. Radagon's the important one, and I think there's way more interesting bosses left to deal with here. Especially when it ends on such a cheap note like that. I'm not like no. I'm doing no difference from the nothing different from the previous thing with Torrent there, and yet for some reason that I just don't get it. Why one little touch in the cheek and suddenly Torrent like gets stunned and freezes up, and then that allows him to take all the hits and just like why? That said, I really should have put on some holy defenses there. That would have been a good idea for all this. I keep forgetting this is New Game Plus, so it's not that easy. If I deal with him again or finish, I don't care enough to finish him off. And really, Agrias wouldn't fight them anyway. I mean, why would she fight the god of her orders, of her holy order? So it's really, whatever. If I keep going on, it's just going to sound worse and worse. I don't feel like fighting him. End of story. And it's not a challenge run. I got a Radagon, that's the important one in my opinion. Elden Beast is just meh. He's basically really, really easy unless he decides to be super cheap for some reason. Where am I? I can't see. Oh, I'm all the way almost to the to where Estelle is, but I don't think I really don't have time. Honestly, I'm already it's already getting late and I'm losing it. Like I'm already starting to mince words here, so let's just focus on Moog and Millennia, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to beat Millennia anyway. So, oh come this stupid. Oh. No, why do they think I care about invasions? I don't care about invasions. God. Actually, wait. This one should be really easy. Why did I worry about her? Actually, as far as NPCs are concerned, she should be really good against them. Oh right, yes, shield is actually I actually use a shield here. I'll show why in a minute. Because of the arrow, the archers. So we are going to put on a shield. Actually, they use magic. I don't have to explain what I'm doing here, do I? Okay, well, I mean, I've done this a few streams now. Alright, whatever, just for, you know, completion's sake, or reference sake, you gotta... Oh shit, I'm making a really bad move here. You gotta light those torches to unlock the way to Howling Tree while avoiding invisible assassins who's one right behind me right now. This is really not the best route. Now, if you go across the rooftops and drop down, then usually you're pretty safe from the assassins. You can get to this ladder before they get there. But I decided to go around the building this time because I got a little distracted. Best part is, you don't have to relight the candles every single time you do the challenge. Not anymore, anyway. I think you did the first time I played this. Now, this is actually not... Oh, shit. Okay, the archer is already spawned, so it makes no difference now if I go here. And that's what the shield's for. Okay, there's a problem. Normally that archer doesn't spawn. But now it's damn near impossible to climb this ladder with it here. So I am going to equip this because I don't exactly care about doing this honestly. Because this is not the interesting part as far as I'm concerned in this whole thing. And frankly, doing this part with the... oh shit. Doing this part with that archer there is impossible. It will be impossible to do this with that archer there. Unless I go and kill her, but that is an adventure in itself, just trying to do that. My god, it feels nice to have ranged attacks. Like good ranged attacks, not just crappy bows and throwing knives for a change. This is like the first time I've been using abilities like this. I mean, the closest other I've gotten to another building ability like this is the Poison Slash. Which actually does some pretty good damage. Well, okay, maybe not the best damage by, you know, speedrunner standards or anything like that, but I was surprised how hard it hit. Now there's always an assassin right here. But if you did this in the order that I just did now, it will be the last flame and it won't matter. See what I mean by hiding her hair? Ugh, that's pretty bad. Okay. Final stretch. Is there some special reason those ants hit so stupid hard? Honestly, that was the trickiest part of this whole thing. Everything after this point is just the quick run. I don't foresee Loretta being a big deal. I mean, she moves around pretty quickly, but she also stands around a lot to take spells and abilities. And I'm not using any magic damage, so I'm going mostly physical and... Nope, you're not gonna get me. And holy. I wish I could get some fire damage. It's the only element I don't have covered. Actually, no, I don't have frost covered either. Even though frost, she does have a frost attack. Well, that was just getting stupid anyway, but that's fine. That's why I sent the elevator up. Because sometimes these twerps, they either just stand there casting the magic hammer, and then you go around them, and then other times they start spamming the... Oh crap, I'm not... I have to go back there. One sec. Okay, let's get back to it. Yeah, normally those guys just use their hammer bonks, but it's the... If they start spamming those spells, the glint blade or whatever that stuff is, then they can become really annoying. Especially if you make that run to the shortcut, which you kind of have to. Phew, no problem. As I expected, being able to spam those bolts, or her ability, the Holy Knight abilities, have definitely made the difference. Man, I'm starting to run out of gas here. I mean, I'm so close, I'm gonna keep going, but I very highly doubt I have enough energy to do, like, any kind of exerted effort to get all these bosses done in one night. I mean, I only have a couple left, but still, you know. It could take a while. I mean, I don't think Moog will be much of a problem, but Millennia is always a problem. That is not the right way to go. Why? I missed something here. Shit. You asshole. I'm all the way back here? Oh, come on. Right, you want to go this way. And get above everyone. And then come around from the side and from the rooftop rather than going through all those jerks. Okay, that's the first leg of the journey down. Or the first half, I should say. This is the final leg of the end of the main game. I really doubt I'll be able to finish off Millennia, but this is another part that can be tricky. The third part, at least, is not that tricky. This really just goes more for down to luck. Okay, so I'm going to give Millennia a couple shots, see how that goes. And then Moog, and see how that goes, and then that'll be it. Because Moog is the only one I actually have to kill, whereas Millennia I'll probably just leave her to like a video. Because this ended up going, oh god, 3:30. Yeah, this is way too late. And that's why you roll down this stairway. Because those guys keep shooting and shoot down that hall. Not mean to pass. Lie down. Okay, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? I am so not set up for this. Well, just do the usual, see how it goes. Shut up. I couldn't even move. One sec, I have an annoying creature here. First he bugs me to get in, now he's bugging me to get out. Okay, I can already tell this is not going to go well because whenever you have one of these attempts with Millennia and it's like you hit her and then she hits you and then she gets back all her HP and you just slowly chip away at her HP, this never goes well. Alright, I'm gonna move on because it's starting to feel like this controls are starting to feel sluggish. Which before I started, when I was complaining the other night that my controller was getting old or broken or something, but now I just realize when I start getting tired, suddenly the buttons start feeling unresponsive. Like that's the only way I can describe it. It's like I feel like I'm pressing all the buttons and I'm pressing them all the right timings, but they're suddenly not working. They're not responding. Right. What's actually happening is my reflexes are starting to drain as I run out of energy. So, and you don't fight Millennia with, when you're tired. That's just not going to work. So we're going to move on to Moog, who doesn't need to be so perfect. Millennia is probably going to have to wait for another video, or actually, honestly, even if I do the DLC, because I consider her to be on par with Radahn. Because for all this, she may not be as powerful as him, but honestly, the damage scalings for the Howling Tree area are actually harder, I think, than the DLC. Because in the DLC, you can get blessings and things to increase your reduce the amount of damage you take, but not in the Howling Tree area. You just take that much damage. That's all to it. Come on, Invader, just come out so I can get rid of you already. Come on, go, 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 go. Yay, quick and easy. I was actually surprised how quickly Ninja took out Millennia. Well, I mean, okay, I had the Mimic. No, actually, no, it was Tish. Alright, she was way more powerful than I knew. I didn't know she was that powerful. I never really used any Spear Dashes. So, and she was so crap against Niall, and it's just kind of against a lot of other bosses. So it was a little surprising. Well, I guess if you know the lore, it makes sense that she would be really powerful against. Why are you doing that? See, this is what I mean, how late at night it starts to feel like I'm losing it, because I don't know what happened to make the game think I was just trying to use an emote just then, but clearly I pressed those buttons for that to happen. If you have blood-tainted excrement, you should see a doctor. That's not a crafting item. It's a notice of seeing a doctor item. Alright, let's see how this goes. I don't think Mog will be as difficult as Millennia. But then again, I have not fought him straight up in a long time. And I'm also pretty sure I'm not optimized yet. I mean, I should be doing a lot more damage with some of these abilities than I actually am. But we shall see. I mean, I'm surprised how easy some of these bosses are. Like, it's actually probably the amazing thing about Dark Souls is how different builds can have like such different results. Oh, that stupid I forgot the blood kneel thing. Yeah. See what I mean? That actually went really well. If anything, the only problem is I ran out of mana too quickly. Alright, I think this is manageable. I'm going to try the bonk stick instead this time. What other adjustments can I make here? Retaining HP is important. See if I can stack some jars if that'll make a difference. No, you cannot. Okay, guess you can't. What else can I do here? What else can I do here? Yeah, that's fine. That was close. Honestly, a couple missed bonks is the only reason this didn't end faster, but... No, see, it goes to show. Some builds just work better against other bosses. I don't know why. This one worked particularly well against Moog. The only real difference being... Well, actually, you know what? This ability is pretty damaging. Might have to use this going forward more. You know, I'm going to give Millennia one more try with one of the other weapons, because I think it'll make a big difference. But I'm not going to kill myself over it. Let's get another level in. The leveling costs shoot right up as we get to the end of the game. That was way too much. Crap, now I feel like I gotta spend more runes. Nah, I'm not gonna kill myself over it. Okay, we're gonna try with the Clean Rot Spear. I don't know why I think those will make a difference. Well, I just think the added... Yeah, I just think the added speed of the spear will make a difference here. Although now I'm not going to be using her best abilities. You know, I should have something on hand so I can spam. We'll use the... This thing hasn't got much use. Actually, I'm gonna stick to the shield. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, well, I don't have any energy left, and this is going practically an hour over the limit. So I'm gonna call it here. I just don't have anything left, any energy left in the tank. But maybe we'll get her in this same stream that we go after Radon. Anyway, hope to see you then. It's already getting way too late. And the next stream should be next weekend, which will be mostly the DLC. And I'm actually going to do something different this time. I'm going to set it up so I'm mostly around all the bosses this time instead of just starting right at the very beginning. Anyway, hope to see you then. See you next weekend, guys.